Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the FhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and thanks to the Dolphins having a new coaching staff, they've actually been able to get started on phase one of the offseason ahead of some of the other NFL teams. So the Dolphins are a couple of weeks in now, and aside from those fire clips their social media team has been dropping, because honestly, I can watch Tua hitting Tyreek on a 5-yard out on a loop all day. But we've also gotten a chance to hear from players and coaches about this phase one part of the offseason. We talked about Emmanuel Ogbah, Xavier Howard, saying that the vibe in the building was good. Players were happy. People were happy. That's great to hear, but we did get to hear from the top dogs themselves this week. Specifically, Miami Dolphins general manager Chris Grier and quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. They said some revealing stuff about the past, the present, and the future of this team. We're going to break it all down, so be sure to stick around, and let's dive in. Chris Grier has received a lot of hate during his time in Miami. It feels like the fans' relationship with him is pretty bipolar. Last season, many people were calling for his job as the team looked to be falling apart. But then he'd do something great like draft Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, back to back to back. And here's what I think we know for certain about him. Chris Grier is adaptable, right? Unlike other GMs who want their coaches to implement a vision that they themselves have, it does feel like Grier believes a lot more in providing coaches players who fit their scheme. And that's good and bad. Mostly good because, right, it allows for you to draft guys who actually fit into a role rather than, well, I had a high grade on him, make him work. There's not a lot of round pegs into square holes or any of that going on. But it is bad when things don't end up working out, and at the end, you got to parse out blame. You don't know where the blame falls. And that really feels like it was the case this past time when we fired Brian Flores. The reaction was split, right? Many, especially in the national media, felt that Miami was being stupid, right? Why get rid of a coach who led the team to back-to-back winning seasons? While, look, other people, like myself, felt it was necessary. What we do know about Grier now is this, though. Mike McDaniel, this is his guy. Not just in the sense that he hired him, obviously, but it's also clear that Grier's had an eye on him for a while. Because if you remember, just an offseason ago, when the Dolphins were looking to bring in an offensive coordinator, they actually requested to interview Mike McDaniel. But then San Francisco promoted him, blocked it. But it shows that even a year ago, Grier was aware of McDaniel and respected what type of coach he could be. And we've seen some great things from him, right? Not really as a coach, since no games have been played. We can't make that determination yet. But in terms of how he's dealing with players, right? The way players are speaking of him, it's clear that he's got energy and it's infectious. I think the new coach's demeanor is also starting to rub off on Grier, as he's been more open and honest about his process, way more than I have ever heard. Because with Flores, there was a lot more of this hush-hush, smoke and daggers thing going around with how the roster was being built and the overall operation. But now, it feels like the front office and the staff are a little looser and a lot more relaxed. He made multiple jokes about Tyreek Hill, talking about how he is, in essence, the team's first-round pick this season. Here he is talking about Tyreek and his impact.
Yeah, no, like we were trying to figure out what we were going to do on draft day, and one of the guys said, he goes, well, just watch Tyreek highlights, in the draft room and make us feel good. But it's unfair to compare any of those kids to Tyreek's skill set, coming out. He's such a unique talent, and even yesterday on the field, he made a play and went down, and then he popped up, like no hands, like flipped up right off the ground, and we're just like, look at this guy. He's just so explosive and springy, and just the way he works out in practice, his work ethic's unbelievable.
The man has jokes now, huh? That's refreshing. And look, his point is valid. A pick is only as good as the caliber of player that you can get with it. Miami had a late first, 29th, and rather than taking a gamble, why not cash that pick in for a known commodity? And that's what Tyreek Hill is. He was more open, too, about his strategy, as he openly mentioned Miami having 2 first-round picks next season, making it easier to trade this year's first-round pick for Tyreek, because you got flexibility coming down the line. He talked about wanting to add competition at center, whether that's going to be in the draft or free agency. And look, his overall demeanor, if you go watch the full press conference, it's far more friendly and open than compared to how he used to compose himself. And look, I know there's less pressure considering the lack of picks the team has. It is the pre-draft press conference, and if you do have a top 10 pick, harder questions are coming your way. This time around, it was loosey-goosey. I understand that. But it's definitely clear that there's a rejuvenation that has entered this building. Just in the brightness in his eyes and the way he was openly saying in the media how much he respects what they do and appreciates what they do. That wasn't dialogue that was being had before. It's nice to see Grier adopting the mindset of the organization rather than sticking to those quiet, calculating ways that it now appears to be more so a staple of the regime, not just who Grier was. Obviously, if you become better with the media but then suffer in your ability to construct a roster, who really cares? But looking at the moves he's made this offseason, plus the fact that he's open with the media now, I think Grier is as confident as he's ever been. The other thing I picked up on while listening to the general manager was the clear and continued show of support for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Look, I know he's supposed to say these things, but I don't think people realize how much faith there is in Tua within the building. They are football people. They watch the tape. They know his deficiencies, just like they know the player he can become. They're with him every day. They drafted him. The team was at a crossroads over the last 12 months. There was division with the direction to go in the quarterback position, whether to trade for Watson, whether to trade Tua, whether to stick with Tua, whether to get competition. There was a lot of division. We know that for certain, and it looks like Grier won out. I'm happy about it, but his career depends on the outcome of that decision. Here he is talking about building a team around Tua.
Yeah, I think a lot of that too has to do with Coach McDaniel and his coaching staff. Kind of the offense that Mike does and what he's building here, and what his philosophy's been. I think yes, we've added some pieces on offense as well, but a lot of it fits what Mike's looking for too, and I think. A lot of it does fit what Tua does well, and I think we're all very excited. And I know Mike has been raving about Tua here over him and Coach Bevel, their time working with him and spending time with him in the meeting rooms and watching him on the field here yesterday. We're very excited for him and looking forward to the season, how he keeps progressing.
All in all, I am pleased with what Grier has done so far, and it's nice to hear him with a little more juice than normal. I can't help but wonder if working with a younger, more energetic guy like Mike McDaniel has really helped reignite something in Grier. Because look, McDaniel was not only hired because Grier feels like he's an ascending coach in the league, but you want McDaniel to attempt to maximize the most of the weapons that you currently have on the roster. And Grier mentioned that it's clear to see during the interview which guys just wanted coaching jobs and which guys, when coming in to try to be the next Dolphins head coach, actually did their research. And he made it clear that Mike McDaniel did his research. He knew the roster, knew his ideas, and how to make those two concepts work, how to mesh what he wants to do with what the Dolphins currently have constructed. And Tua is obviously the center of that because, as Chris Grier said himself, they wanted a head man who believed in numero uno just as much as they do. If that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't really know what is. Obviously, there are more moves that are going to be made, still picks that need to be selected next week, but so far, 2022 has been off to a really great start for Chris Grier. Now look, here's where things get spicy. I know, we should not live in the past, and some of you guys really don't want to hear about Brian Flores anymore. Don't know why you guys are so angry at him. I get he's suing the team. We don't have to actually pay any money. So I don't know why you're so mad at him for suing the Dolphins. That's a personal thing. I'm more mad that, he kind of screwed over our quarterback's development. But of course, not everything bad was his fault, just like all the successes aren't his doing either. It's a team sport. But the two most important pieces to an NFL team's success is the quarterback and the head coach. Not only must they be in sync, there has to be a working relationship between them. From the reports that came out following his firing to the dots that we've been connecting for months regarding Flores not actually wanting Tua in the first place, the picture is becoming clearer and clear. The relationship between Tua and Brian Flores was toxic. We don't know the details, But what is clear is that Tua never felt supported or that he had the backing of the head man. And it's hard to stay focused when your work environment isn't one where you feel comfortable or supported. And there was an exchange that Tua had with the media which could not illustrate that point more clearly. Take a listen.
Tua, there was a lot said about you and Flo's relationship. What would you consider you and Flo's relationship?
Big question. That's a big question, huh? Well, I'll tell you this. I'm very thankful that he drafted me to come here to play for the Miami Dolphins. That's what I'd say.
You hear that? Did you hear that? If that is not a spurned lover, I don't know what is. No words of thanks, no comments about, what he learned in 2 full seasons that he spent with him. Nothing. All we got was a pretty passive-aggressive thank you. Thanks for making me a Dolphin so I can continue to be one without you. Jeez, I really think things were more toxic than we realize. And look, it's all going to come out in time, as most things do, but Tua is markedly reserved with those questions. When you compare how his overall demeanor was for the rest of the press conference, when Brian Flores came up, he got prickly. He was excited talking about the offense, right? Wanting to get the ball in his playmakers' hands to, quote, yak the heck out of defenses. He spoke openly about the relationship that he hopes to cultivate with Teddy Bridgewater, a relationship he said is similar to one he had with guys like Fitz and last year with Brissett. He spoke of the coaching staff, right? Darrell Bevel, his new quarterbacks coach, and the overall experience in the room with him. He is excited. Now, obviously, it's April. Rookies haven't even entered the building, but this is the time where your season really begins, right? The install work, making sure everyone understands the schemes and play designs that are being implemented. Perhaps the most exciting thing Tua spoke about was the similarities between the new offense and what he ran with Sarkisian back at Bama. Because if you remember, Tua got his stardom, becoming a household name from being a point guard for an extremely potent and explosive offense, right? Using his accuracy, great footwork, and overall poise and not really getting rattled no matter how big the game is. All of that combined allowed for him to stay calm and deliver the ball to his weapons. He won a lot of games at Alabama, but the main issue in his first 2 seasons was either that lack of weapons or no time to allow plays to be set up on a consistent basis. This new scheme, with the influx of talent across the board, it's going to allow him to focus on the things that he excels at: reading a defense, making a quick decision, and getting the ball in his playmakers' hands. The best part is Miami has loaded this offense up with dynamic and versatile guys for him to work with, guys who can be used all over the field. There really aren't many guys who are kind of strictly one position. I'd say Raheem Mostert, right? He's that. He isn't really the best receiving option, more of a pure runner. Obviously, he can catch dump-offs out of the backfield, but you're not really going to line Mostert out in the slot on a consistent basis. And the same thing applies to tight ends, right? Durham Smythe, Hunter Long, they are going to be more traditional tight ends. But the other skill positions, they got flexible options. Cedric Wilson, use him on an end around or a quick screen. Same can be said for Lynn Bowden, who also has Wildcat experience. And obviously, about Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Their abilities single-handedly unlock a whole new dimension to any playbook. And even Mike Gesicki, put him in line, have him in the slot, play him on the outside. The possibilities are limitless. And the excitement from Tua is going to be infectious to the team and this fan base, because we know he's in those meetings. He sees what's being installed. And if he's feeling confident, why shouldn't we? He spoke about catering the offense to his skill set specifically, as well as the one-on-one work that he has done with McDaniel as well. Take a listen.
I sat down with the head coach, and we went over about 150 clips of throws. Throws that need to be better, throws that were good. All sorts of throws. And the reason as to why he showed me that is it transitions to, the way, he kind of schemes up the offense. And really the biggest thing for us is yak. is yak. So we want to yak the heck out of teams.
Yak the hell out of teams. You love to hear it. I know, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but like we've said before here on the show, we can only react to what's in front of us. I heard Chris Grier and Tua speak. I took some things away. I wanted to share them with you. But right now, what's in front of us is a young, hungry, excited team which seems to be loving and raving about their new head coach. And whether that translates onto wins on the field, we'll see. But the tea leaves are looking good. Not only the new and improved offensive identity, but the weapons. Oh boy, I think I'll be joining Chris Grier, and I'm just going to watch some Tyreek Hill highlights on night one of the draft while all those other teams are hoping that, oh, maybe we can get a guy to become a star. Well, we got one already. What about you guys? How excited are you feeling about this season? Does it feel different, or are you so beaten down by this franchise that you still just need to see it to believe it? Let us know in the comments, because trust me, I feel all of your pain. But equally, I feel the anticipation, hope, and excitement as well.
What things do I see that are really awesome about his game on tape, even though we're at...
Hey, he's accurate as heck.
Boom! That's what I was just about to say.
Oh, I didn't know. I was just... you were leading me. That's how, you should do this, maybe.
Dude,
think about it in the future.
Dude.
But he's so accurate.
Or we should just spend the time finishing each other's...
sentences.
Oh, okay.
Hey, have we known each other for...
our whole lives?
Oh, my God.
You tell...
Me?
Wow.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the FhinsPod. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Timothy Ritchie, Brian Guger, Chris, and Commander Pig, members of the pod and supporters of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/FhinsPod. Thank you all so much for the continued support. And please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show. Subscribe just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember, we're available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram @FhinsPod. I hope you all have an amazing day. Until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.